Hi. I'm Diane Henson. As you heard this morning, I founded Creative Family Connections, and I am owner and the lead attorney. And this is
I'm Caitlin O'Donnell. I'm one of the case managers. I have a social work background.
And so we are located right in the DC area. We're as close as you can get to DC without putting your toe in it because of the laws of DC. And we have lots of clients up in the New York area and around the country and around the world. Surrogacy has definitely become a worldwide phenomenon. So let me tell you about us, and just interrupt at any time. Totally happy to take questions. So we're a little bit unique. We are a law firm and a matching agency combined. There are others here who have a law firm and a matching agency. We are just totally one entity, and that is really to your benefit. As I mentioned this morning, the surrogacy agencies are not regulated. Law firms, we are so regulated as lawyers. I would be disbarred for a lot of things. So what you get is you get the attorney-client privilege. Everything you say is confidential. Even your names are confidential. We don't tell anybody your names. And also money. One of the things you may want to, if you go with another agency, you should find out is, well, what happens if something happens and like a month or so into your journey, something happens in your lives and you can't go forward any longer? What happens to the first big installment you've paid? Do you get any of your money back? We just had somebody recently switch to us who was unhappy, and she was working with a agency owned by an attorney, but all the money went in through the agency, which meant she lost it all. With the law firm, we have to put your money into a trust fund, and we just transfer over each month the amount we earn. The rest is there for you, held on your behalf. If something happens, you get all your money back. We start off by getting to know you as best we can, because we want to do a really great match. So we'll do that if you come down to DC in person. If you're here, we'll do it by video conference, and it's a complimentary initial consultation. We'll give you a new client questionnaire. We want to find out about your preferences, what you want your family to look like, what your budget is, because if you've got a really tight budget, we can do things to keep you within it, in terms of where your surrogate's located, whether she works, because you'd be liable for your lost wages if she were put on bed rest. We want to know those things because we want this to be a happy experience for you. And then we do really, really intensive pre-screening of the surrogate candidates. Like, we have them fill out, take a form right to their OB from the beginning, and that form's going to go straight to us, and we're going to give that to whatever doctor, whatever reproductive endocrinologist you're working with. We are going to do reference checks. We do an in-home interview of every surrogate candidate. So basically, we'll start with, say, 33 candidates. We'll winnow it down to one that's even worth doing an in-home interview. And then ultimately, the standard we use is, would we trust this woman to carry our baby? And that's a pretty high standard. But, we want to see her neighborhood. We look behind the shower curtain. We're really nosy. And so we kind of are known as getting the cream of the crop. And part of that is because we then give full support all the way through. And so if she's going to be a headache, she's going to be our headache, not just your headache, our headache. So you'll be assigned a case manager. Caitlin's one of them. And the same case manager will be hers, and our case managers will talk to her every week, in whatever way she talks. Some of them say, text, a combination. And so the advantage of that for you is you never have to be the bad cop. If there's somebody you never have to have that awkward conversation. If somebody does, that's our job. When it gets late in the pregnancy and she's not allowed to travel into certain states, I referred to that map this morning about where you can be and where you can't be. So if she lives in a bordering state, that's our job, is to say you can't go visit your father for Christmas. We have to deliver that bad news, and we've done it. And if you're worried about something, you let us know. So We play that role. We're the ones who will tell her that if she gets pregnant with multiples, she's going to see a high risk baby, because we want your baby to go full term. We don't want preterm babies. Things like that. And then we're also lawyers, so we'll do your legal work. Right from the beginning, we will only match you to somebody who lives in a state where we can protect you as the parents. We can get a pre-birth order, we can get both dads on the birth certificate of your couple. We want to protect you. And then what we do is, in the second trimester, go to court, get a pre-birth order. It tells you're the sole legal parent, the surrogate, and her husband, if she has one, have no parental rights. And then after that, we do even another step, which, and we do this even if it's not local because we find others don't do it, is we then do a hospital birthing plan. You heard George talking just a little before, right, about how he had to deal with the hospital, and in some ways they were good and in some ways they weren't, and the physicians, when he did the walkthrough ahead of time, well, that's what we do for you. And Caitlin, because it's usually a social worker who's the point person, she does it, and so we call them up and we say, you're about to have a delivery, and it's going to be a surrogacy delivery, and they're like, oh, thank you for telling us in advance. They hate it when they're just, blindsided with it, and then we say, and we have a court order, and they're like, oh, thank you, and because they want to recognize you as a parent. And so then we go through all the protocols, and we want to make sure you get the bands, and we ask them for a room because they were lucky, but oftentimes if you don't ask, you don't get a room. And we want to make sure they know who's going to be in the delivery room, and get all this taken care of ahead of time, because we don't want you stuck down in registration. We want you enjoying delivery. I mean, that's the goal, is it's this really incredibly happy time, and we want you to enjoy it. So our goal is to take away as much of the stress as possible, to even out the bumps whenever we can. And so that's why we sort of stay with you. If there are bumps, we'll be there with you. If they're we can't control what happens medically. We can help guide you if you need guidance for clinics, whatever. But our goal really is to make this the really happy process it should be. I mean, it's an amazing thing, And I decided to build my family, and it's just the best thing I ever did. So that's why we're so passionate about it. So that's kind of what we do. As I say, it's a combination of all the time of supporting you and making sure your legal rights are protected, and we work as a team. We meet every week, the whole team. We go over every client, every prospective surrogate candidate to make the right match, and it's very, very open, very transparent. We're small and boutique, and we're happy with this. Anybody have questions?
So you just talked about the surrogacy map. So if she accidentally gives birth at the end and she's in the wrong state, the baby was technically born in that state then, even though she lives somewhere else. Is that what you're? This is day one for us.
Yeah. So it depends is the answer. For example, do you live in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a problem because New York is a bad state. Like if you were in a good state, we could use your state, right? New York, it's void against public policy. If you lived in a good state, like Maryland, will actually get the pre-birth order in Maryland, and then other states will recognize it. But since you live in New York, then what we need to do is rely on where she lives. So if she lives in a state, and let's say the state right next door to her is a really bad state, we'll actually put in her contract that she cannot go into that state after probably week 24 to any point where baby could be born that would be potentially viable. And we do that in down in the DC area all the time, because Maryland is a really great state, but Virginia is bad for gay dads, so we don't want her in Virginia. And in DC, surrogacy contracts are criminal. So we have all sorts of restrictions, and I was doing just the legal work for Surrogate in Maryland, and she went in, she was having cardiology issues, like a heart attack kind of issue, and they wanted to move her to one of the hospitals that's known for cardiology, but it's in DC. And so I was like, you can't do that, and because she was having contractions. And so the cardiologist got it right away, and he said, well, you got to talk to her OB, and the OB just had this attitude. And she's like, well, I don't care. And I'm like, you need to care. This is your patient. You know, it's criminal if she has this baby in DC. So it was the weekend, and there was no risk management at the hospital because they wouldn't care. So finally I said, okay, give me the director. And they're like, the director what? I was like, the director of the hospital. And I don't know if any of you used to watch. They said, well, she's not in. I don't know if anybody watched House. So I was picturing Cuddy on the line, you know. And I said, okay, well, you need to get me your lawyer, your outside counsel then, because if you don't, I'm going to file a temporary restraining order against the hospital. You cannot transfer this patient into DC. So this was a Saturday. I really didn't have a clue how I was going to file a temporary restraining order because the courts are all closed on Saturday, but it really sounded good. And so within an hour, this outside lawyer calls me, and I said, you can't do this. There's plenty of good hospitals in Maryland. You can go to Hopkins, you can go to all sorts of places, and so they transferred her somewhere else. You know, you gotta sound good. And that's one of the advantages, as I said, of having somebody who's like got the law and sound good when you need to. So, you know, we can be the nice cop, we can be the bad cop, and that's what we're there to do. But yeah, so we have very strict travel restrictions on her if there are bad states. If she ends up in a state that's not bad but isn't the right one, we actually have in the contract that then she would have to pay for the extra legal proceeding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's all, we try to cover like everything in our agreement because we don't want you to be an open checkbook. We don't want you to have unforeseen things, but we're gonna have a delivery hospital. And yeah, we want to be able to make sure that you guys are the dads. And you go right onto the birth certificate and it will say parent and parent. That's what you deserve. Yeah, this is, 2013, and there are states where they won't do that, and we're just not looking for surrogates in those states.
In that birthing plan, we make sure you have a copy in your hospital bag, she has a copy in her hospital bag, and the hospital has it.
Right.
Just on the off chance that she does deliver at a different hospital, you have copies. And we've had that happen before where, it was a different hospital, was totally unexpected, but they still had copies of the birthing plan, and they gave it to the hospital.
Right.
And things went still according to plan.
Or once I was, I got a call, it was really early in the morning. I'm like, who's calling me this early in the morning? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll answer it. And it turns out there was a delivery, and they were at the hospital, and the hospital had lost because we have them pre-register the surrogates so that then it's in their file. Because after we go through all this, we doing writing, and they put it in the surrogate's hospital file. And they said, we're here at the hospital, but they've lost your hospital file. And I'm like, okay, did you do what I told you to do, which was to pack a hospital bag? Because the old classic, the person is expecting, because we're going to tell you as the dads, pack a hospital bag, put in your court order, put in your, and they said, yes. I'm like, okay, great. Pull it out of your hospital bag. And they're like, oh, okay, thanks. And so they did, and they accepted it. And so, but they're in the frazzle of the moment. They couldn't think, and so they did what I told them to do, which was call my cell phone. So we did. And that's exactly what we want people to do. Reach out and call us. So, that's what we're there for. So, I didn't blame them. I could get there, and they don't even have our files. So we get, I've had to wake up dads in the middle of the night and harass and say, your surrogate's water just broke. Get on, get on a plane. And most of our parents don't miss deliveries, though, even locally. I mean, even long distance. I made it. It's pretty impressive. So, yeah. Wow, what 2 minutes? Who has a question? I talk fast. I grew up in New York, that's why. somebody?
Yeah, just a quick question, because I have, my partner is a long relationship, so he's actually in Chicago, so I'm not sure if we want to do that stuff, we will do that one in New York, or we will go to.
So you have a residence in each?
Yes.
Okay, so we could figure that out, but probably we could use Chicago. I mean, Illinois has better laws, and so then we have the flexibility to we can write it under the laws of Illinois, and then if we want, but we can also, if the surrogate's in some place where we like it even better. You know, the only thing about Illinois, everybody says, oh, that's a great state. The only thing about Illinois is that only the bio dad goes on to the original birth certificate, and then you have to do a second parent adoption. So that's, you know, that has its limitations too. So if you find you a surrogate in a state where we can do it all in one step, you know, that would still be my preference. But as between Illinois and New York, there's no question. Illinois would win out. But it's fine. It's fine to, you know, we just did one for a couple where the one dad lived in Vancouver and his partner lives in China. So we can do long distance relationships.
So both they can, in the parents A and parents B, and even the friends?
And then their surrogate was in Boston.
Oh.
So, exactly.
I see. Okay.
So we did it, or Connecticut, we did it under Connecticut law. And the second dad came over in time for the delivery, and eventually he's gonna move to Vancouver too. Yes?
So if you have a surrogate who resides in a non-friendly state,
Right.
is it mostly about her to a state to actually give birth? Because actually in the last session we were talking about California and how you might actually have to be a resident rather than just
It depends on the laws of each state. Like some states will allow what I call drive-by births. So, for example, in Maryland, we can file a petition and say she has an OB in this state and plans to deliver here, and that's enough to give us jurisdiction.
Thank you.